welcome back. And of course, it's still inside Nigeria on the Leadership Podcast Studio on this Tuesday morning. I'm still in the studio with Winifred Ogbebo and of course our regular analyst, Jide Ojo, an Abuja-based public affairs analyst. Now, the discussion proper on the signing of the Petroleum Industry Bill into law, which is now the Petroleum Act 2021. Jide, since 1967, when the first Petroleum Act was enacted, this is the first major law to rejig the whole petroleum sector. Robinson, with me.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us at the Leadership Podcast Studio in Abuja this morning. How is Port Harcourt?
Port Harcourt is fine today.
All right. Yeah, you issued a statement yesterday on behalf of your group, PANDEF, kicking, describing the president in different terms, to show your disapproval with some of the provisions of the Petroleum Industry Act. Yeah, it's an act of the National Assembly now. Yes. So I want to know, Honorable Ken, what are your expectations? Because you said the action of the president did not meet your expectation. So what are the real expectations of the Niger Delta people?
The Niger Delta people had hoped and expected that the Petroleum Industry Bill will alleviate or address the neglect, the suffering of the people of the oil-producing communities of the Niger Delta region. Remember that for us, we had initially, our attitude was that this is not what we want. The idea of a development trust fund is a continuation or a recoloration of the corporate social responsibility that IOCs have been doing in the Niger Delta for the past years, which has been very meaningless and reduces the people of the Niger Delta region to objects of pity. And we had said that we don't want that again. And what we asked for was equity participation. We want to be shareholders, co-owners of an industry that is operated in our backyards. And there are examples, even within the country and across the world. But because we felt that, well, let's give the government and the Nigerian people the benefit of doubt, we shifted away from the 10% equity participation and accepted what was recommended initially. But unfortunately, on the 1st of July, the National Assembly, the Senate in particular, provided a paltry 3% for the Host Community Development Trust Fund. The fact must be made clear here that until the people of the Niger Delta participates adequately in the management and the operations of the oil industry, the issues that we witnessed in the Niger Delta, the crisis, the unrest, may continue. It's unfortunate that despite the outcry and the condemnations that greeted the passage of the bill by the National Assembly and presentations that were made to Mr. President, he went ahead to sign that bill into law. For us in the Niger Delta, what that signifies is a message to us that how we feel and what we say do not matter in the scheme of things in Nigeria. Ordinarily, as Jide very cleverly stated, the signing of the PIB bill should have been something of joy to everyone in Nigeria. But for us in the Niger Delta, yesterday it was a day of sadness. For some Nigerians, perhaps it's historic. But what happened yesterday was a continuation of the disregard, the neglect, and the arrogant attitude towards issues affecting the Niger Delta region. We are aware that the original provision for the Frontier Exploration Fund was 10%. How was it spoiled up to 30%? 30% of the profit of a national company dedicated to exploration activities. How much did Nigeria spend in oil exploration in the Niger Delta? The oil business is a business. What Nigeria needs to do is to create the enabling environment for investors to go and explore and exploit for oil. If they find oil, fine, it's a business. If they don't find, it's one of the losses in business. So it's a brazen act, totally disregarding the feelings and the aspirations of the Niger Delta people. And it's sad, very sad, that Nigeria will continue to treat a region that has been breastfeeding the nation for over 60 years in this very shabby manner.
All right, Honorable Robinson.
But, sorry.
No, we talk to the Senator. Senator Bashiru Ajibola is with us live. Distinguished Senator Bashiru Ajibola.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Senator.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Our pleasure you are with us live. Now, distinguished Senator, you
Thank you
had
very much.
Honorable Ken Robinson. Yes. Now, you are a lawyer and as well a parliamentarian. The concept of law globally or universally is for the orderliness of the society. Now, the law you have just passed, which has been assented by the President, the PIB, is causing some kind of uneasiness in the Niger Delta region. Are you not worried that at the end of the day, the investment you are talking about may not come when host communities are hostile to investors in the region?
Exactly.
First and foremost, I don't agree with the representative of PANDEF that is speaking totally for all the host community in Niger Delta. I was part of the passing of PIB, and I was at the stakeholder hearing held in the various host communities. I beg to disagree with him that is just raising red herring unnecessarily. And I also say this, that I'm also a member of the Southern Senators Forum, and I was actually involved in the negotiation in National Assembly that led to the passage of the PIB. It's unfortunate when we reduce issue of utmost national importance to issue of sectionalism and without looking at the whole picture of what has happened. I commend the other speaker that say what he has seen in this is an half full glass and not an half empty glass. And I will say this to first that equating what has happened under the PIB to what is corporate social responsibility is fallacy. The host community trust fund is far different and it's a statutory creation to ensure there's a partnership between the law, that is those carrying out impacting activities in the host community and the community, and the legal framework is set out. Corporate social responsibility is more of a moral obligation. What the host community trust fund has set up is that of a legal obligation, and the whole chapter of the bill was devoted to setting out this framework. Secondly, on what was the original formulation, the initial formulation for the host community by the executive was actually 2.5%, not 10% as represented. So it is quite not correct to say that there was a time that was a 10% recommendation. But when the 5%, 2.5% came at the Southern Senators Forum, which we had a meeting and I participated at the residence of the Deputy Senate President, we agreed that we should work towards 5%. But democracy is about aggregating the opinion and views of the people. And as leaders, we must also act based not on sentiment, but on what is the larger interest of the country and larger interest of even the oil and gas sector. So at the course of negotiation with all other stakeholders, it was eventually said that the midway between 2.5% that was originally formulated and the 5% that we in the Southern Senators Forum proposed, it should be 3%. And this was arrived at not just picking figures, but looking at what is the financial implication of 2.5%, 3%, 3.5%, 4%, 4.5%, and 5%. The 3% agreed to translated to about $555 million, annually. For a place where you don't even have a guaranteed of a dollar before, to have at the inception of a new legal regime of $555 million, I think we should start with that. And then, just as been suggested, we can now in the process work towards a possible amendment to reach where we are getting. But to seek to throw away the baby with the bathwater, particularly on an impactful legislation coming on the heels of failure to amend and address this sector. Then, aside the 3% going to the host community, one of the things that the Southern Senators Forum raised was that the gas flaring penalties should not go to the distributable pools as used to be, but should go towards environmental remediation and welfare of the host community. And that amendment was inserted in section 104 of section 4 of the bill, which has now been assented to. So beyond the 3% that has been talked about, penalties for gas flaring from any host community go back to the same host community. That we could not for now predict what it will amount to in terms of dollar or naira, quantum. Then a sentiment has been raised on the issue of the money for marginal feed. The impression created was that marginal feed only goes to the exploration in the northern part of the country. Far from it, we should avoid sectionalism. I challenge everybody to go to the definition of frontier basin in the law. One of the things that the Southern Senators Forum did was that definition of frontier basin should be expanded to include some qualified geographical and geological location in the southern region. Anambra, for instance, was specifically mentioned in the definition of frontier basin. The question I ask myself, is Anambra part of northern region? I want to appeal to us in addressing national debate. We should not talk based on what is not founded in the law, what is not founded in fact, and just based on sentiment. And beyond the question of just talking about percentage, the Senate, at the floor of the Senate, before the decision was taken on the 3%, the Minister for Niger Delta, who I believe is a major stakeholder in the Niger Delta, His Excellency Timothy Silva, as well as the DMD of the NNPC, made presentation as to different scenarios to guide and inform us on what are the applicable scenarios in the international market, and they alerted us on the need to have a competitive market. You could talk of 10% of zero and 10% of 1 million. There are two different scenarios. And when you see that organizations like OPEC had come out to give applause to what has been done, is showing that we are making the Nigerian oil and gas sector to be competitive. And I believe that coming from the baseline we have done, there are improvements that will go to the all communities, and of course to benefit of developing that sector that will translate to employment and possible engagement of people in the oil community. So I want to appeal to Nigerians to see this as even a process that is not, as been said by the earlier commentator, that is not stagnant. There are processes for amendment, but let us even start from somewhere and know that we have made a quantum leap from a process that has no legislative backing since 1967 to one that at least we have something that we can improve upon. And also think that it is important to mention, the fact that the People's Democratic Party that are now coming to come and make criticism and pretending that they are lovers or people of the Niger Delta, they are just shedding crocodile tears and are just making mockery of themselves. They have been in charge of the Nigerian Parliament and Nigerian executive together for a period of 16 years. Why have they not done what they are now saying we fail to do? At the risk of sounding immodest, there was active collaboration among the executive, legislative arm, the international oil community, host communities, and all other stakeholders. And it is that synergy that made the passage of the PIB, now PI Act, to be a reality. And I believe in the spirit of that cooperative development, we should get critical stakeholders in the Niger Delta to enlighten and educate our people and also to see beyond today and see towards a situation whereby the liberalization in the oil and gas sector will impact positively in development of the Niger Delta. We should not make it a matter of politics. We should not make it a matter of agitation, and we should not allow a rudderless opposition to make political capital out of what they are neglected to do when they have all the means and power to do so.
Distinguished Senator, I know you are on vacation. We still have one more question for you before I allow you to go, but we'll come back to you shortly.
Yes.
Now let's go to Honorable Ken Robinson. Yes. Honorable Ken,
sir.
You have the distinguished senator, the Senate spokesperson.
Yes.
It's like there are a lot of goodies in the Petroleum Industry Act for the Niger Delta region beyond the fixation on the 3% stake for whole community fund.
No, but Robinson, are you hearing us?
Yes, I'm hearing you. Sorry.
Okay.
Let me say greetings to Senator Ajibola, distinguished Senator Ajibola. But perhaps to remind him that, hello?
We are with you.
We can hear you. We can hear you,
perhaps
sir.
to remind the distinguished senator that one bad apple spoils the whole bunch. The Niger Delta people that we speak for, we do not look at these issues through the blood prisms of political allegiance. We are speaking as people who are affected by an operation of over 60 years in our region. Our livelihoods have been decimated, ecosystem has been destroyed, as the distinguished senator knows this from Osun State. This is not about picking one or two states from southeast, southwest, adding them to a cluster of states in some parts of the country. It is an act, and it's a conspiracy against the Niger Delta people. And we have said this severally. The suffering of the Niger Delta people.
With respect, I beg to say that I'm from southern Nigeria. I was never aware of any conspiracy, and we will never be part of conspiracy against any region in Nigeria. I told you I was part and parcel, and you can ask people like Governor Seriake Dixon and the top members of the Niger Delta of the activity of our National Assembly in arriving this. I don't like conspiracy theory. I'm sorry to say. I'm sorry for interjecting you.
Let's please. Thank
you.
All
right, Honorable Ken, go ahead.
Yes. Before 1969, the derivation principle was 50%. In 1969, Decree 51 abrogated it in the name of the Civil War. The Civil War has been over for over 50 years. And what is happening to the derivation principle? When it was cocoa, when it was granite, was it 13%? And you want us to celebrate for 3%? Let us be sincere to ourselves, please. That the Niger Delta people are human beings. That the Niger Delta has been reduced to a region of survival for struggle, and that we have some persons who will support whatever that is given, does not mean that that's the view of the Niger Delta people. The Minister of Petroleum Resources, Minister of State Petroleum Resources, is an appointee of the federal government. He does not say how he feels. He says what he has been asked to say. He does not represent the views of the Niger Delta people as minister. That's the fact, sir. We respect you. We know the issues going on in the National Assembly. We are not ignorant people. We know that the National Assembly itself is skewed and lopsided against the southern Nigeria.
We are aware that you are going out of our...
No, sorry, sir.
Honorable Ken, can you listen to me? Because of time, you're going out of our focal discussion.
Yes, but there is history to this discussion.
Okay, let's put the history aside. Let me ask you this question. Talking about the 1960-something derivation principle and the rest of them, will you say all the money that have been allocated to the Niger Delta region since 1960 have been judiciously used by the political leaders of the region?
I would say no. And the reason is clear. The reason is not far-fetched. So we have a system, we have a structure that has made the president like a god of Nigeria and governors like demigods. How people get to the National Assembly is known. How governors get elected are known. People can sit down somewhere and write results and become whatever. because of the skewed and porous and faulty system we operate. If we have to start the changes, a senator from Niger Delta, Senator Saraki Dixon, spoke at the floor of the National Assembly at the Senate. A few days ago, he was invited by EFCC. And Nigerians know these things. What the Niger Delta people are saying is that this document is a continuation of the oppression and marginalization of the Niger Delta people. A situation where the PIB, the PIB Act gives the privilege to the settlers to decide who to be in the trust fund, who to be in the board and management of the trust fund, or even decide what makes a host community. It's for the enslavement of our people. And as we have said, the Niger Delta people will, after full consultations, respond in the best legal and political response, rather.
All right, finally, Honorable Robinson, the distinguished Senator Bashiru Ajibola has actually spoke about a window of amendments, that you can propose amendment later to have your wish achieved. Are you exploring this option, or you want to throw another line of legal or otherwise options?
I just said that we are going to meet and have consultations across the Niger Delta region, and even, of course, with even the Southern senators and members of the House of Representatives and governors across board, and then we'll respond appropriately. All
right. Honorable Ken Robinson, we want to thank you for creating time to join us this morning at the Leadership Podcast Studio. And of course, Honorable Ken Robinson is the National Publicity Secretary of the Pan-Niger Delta Forum, PANDEF. He spoke with us from Port Harcourt. And of course, again,
thank you so much, and God bless Nigeria.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Senator Bashiru Ajibola, we thank you for creating time to join us from Osogbo. We drag you out of your vacation to speak on a critical national issue.
Thank you, Senator.
We are not really on vacation. We have been very busy with constitutional amendments and some other work at the National Assembly. But we are here to do politics, with our constituents. So
thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me here.
Thank you so much. Honorable Bashiru, Senator Bashiru Ajibola is the chairman of the Senate Committee on Media and Public Affairs. He spoke to us live from Osogbo, the capital of Osun State. And of course, in the studio, Jide Ojo, our regular analyst. Thank you for creating time.
It's a pleasure.
It has been a wonderful discussion this morning.
And let me say last word. I pray that whatever will be the outcome of consultation of PANDEF, because the man, Robinson, Honorable Robinson, said something which is very instructive, that this bill may not end restiveness in Niger Delta. And we want that to end.
Yes.
And we want that to end.
To be a threat to national security.
There are two windows that can be pursued. The window of legal redress in court. We have first instances in past where court strikes out certain sections of a law.
Yes.
Or they can sponsor an amendment.
As the Senator has
But
said.
we will not want any restiveness in Niger Delta. Odembu, let's put a stop to that so that we can develop that. Because if accountability and transparency are being the watchword from the word go, NDTC has been there for 20 years. They just submitted forensic audit. We don't know what the forensic audit is. We have Ministry of Niger Delta. We have 13% derivation. We have amnesty program. We even have corporate social responsibility by this international oil companies. A lot of things.
But
so
the fixation on the 33% post-community.
So I wish all Nigerians the best. Let's allow peace to reign.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Today has been an entertaining and interesting breakfast show. Thank you so much for joining us. And don't forget to follow us on our podcast.
Keep it there with us tomorrow. My name remains Bode Gbadebo. Bye for now.